Thank you so much! Best friend!
Sir.
All right. In 5, 4. Wait, I'm lagging. I'm just gonna fix it up. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and welcome to the podcast, the Best Friendos podcast, episode 5.
I'm 5 episodes old.
Let's go.
I'm back and I'm not sick.
I'm Eli.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Drubert.
And we have a special guest today. Say hi, Marissa. Say it really loud.
Oh, hi.
She says hi. She says hi. All right, guys, we're back, ready to talk about some movies. We've missed a couple of episodes. Apologies on my part for any of you listeners who tuned in and wondered why I haven't uploaded for the past week or so. Technical difficulties, but we're here and we're ready to talk movies.
Yeah, what are we talking about today, Eli?
I don't know. It's March, and to be specific, March 6th. It's been a full week-ish since the most highly anticipated movie of 2024 has been in the works for over a year and a half. And it's not Star Wars.
It's not Star Wars?
Yeah, you might think it's Star Wars, but it's actually based off this property almost. And it has to do with a lot of sand, a lot of Zendaya, a lot of Willy Wonka.
A lot of Christopher Walken?
We'll talk like this, talking like that. So that's awful shit. I'm talking about none other than Dune Part 2.
Whoa.
And we talked about this a little bit prior, but so I've seen it. Opening night. Andrew, you've seen it?
I have seen it.
Mm-hmm. And Matt.
Yes, I have not seen it. I will be watching it this weekend. So, for the sake of not ruining it for myself, I will be deaf for like the next bit or so. Well, you guys talk about this really incredible film that I'm really excited to watch in a few days.
And boy, will you look back on it and say, wow, wasn't I wish I was a part of that conversation, because
You'll look back on it and you're going to say word for word, Sue mama.
Oh, I prefer fork.
and you're going to go, oh my God, the chosen one has come. The prophet has come.
I'm just going to go fork.
You better have bought your Dune 2 popcorn bucket. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, dude, I'm going to get it before you.
I haven't even gone yet, dude.
I'm going to get two.
The Cinemark doesn't have it.
Yeah, Cinemark doesn't have it. Regal doesn't have it. So,
Dang.
chances are
They recalled it.
we have to order it.
Better not. What the heck?
Have it?
Too many people try to stick their hamsters in them, if you know what I'm saying.
You don't have the popcorn.
know.
You've been seeing the shirts, though?
I have.
The shirts have been crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, we'll try to be on our best behavior when talking about Dune 2, because there's a lot to unpack.
Oh, no, you're good. I will be deaf. I'm going to go get snackies while you guys talk about it.
Okay, I'll message you when we're
I'll be watching you guys quietly from the webcams.
So, Andrew, at the end, right?
Whoa! All right.
End of the
Enjoy
movie,
the conversation. Don't spoil it for me. I'll be upset.
May my knife do blood damage. Whatever the hell they did.
Chip, what does he say? Chip
May
and
my
shatter?
knife chip thy blood. Taste blood.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Chip and shatter. There you go. All right. You want to go first, or should I?
Yeah, you want me to? So, just introducing Dune as an idea for those who don't know. Dune's an intellectual property, sci-fi. It predates both Star Trek and Star Wars, so this is where a lot of the inspiration George Lucas got for Star Wars, and same thing for Star Trek. There's a lot of things that elements from Dune that the original book and movie inspired for everyone's beloved Star Wars. You know, everyone knows it's Disney's now. but George Lucas got a lot of inspiration from that. And then I'm not personally a Star Trek fan, but a lot of Trekkies know that there was that inspiration as well. But yeah, Dune 1, for those of you who watched it, didn't really understand it, or for those of you who didn't watch it and want to understand, it's basically space Game of Thrones, right? There's an emperor in the galaxy known as Imperium. There's 5 great houses. We're following one of House Atreides with their Duke Leto, who ends up getting killed, but that's Oscar Isaac's dad. Or that's Oscar Isaac playing the dad of Timothy Chalamet. And yeah, he's set off to be the Duke of Arrakis, where there's spice production, which is the galaxy's most profitable.
Space coke.
What would you say? Well, yeah,
kind of.
It's for tripping, but it's like it's their most. What's the word?
It's for
Resource. It's their most. Yeah, it's the most valuable resource because it's also for space travel, right?
Yeah.
So we're following. So out of all of these names, we're following Paul because Paul is the chosen one, and that's Timothy Chalamet's character. So the first movie just really sets the story for the Emperor's getting scared of the Duke of Arrakis, Leto, who is Oscar Isaac's popularity growing, and thinks that he might make a run for the throne. So the Emperor sets him up to become the Duke of Arrakis, and then basically 2 times him with the Harkonnens and kills them. And Paul and his mom escape into the sand with the sand people with blue eyes, and then yeah, what else are we missing? Oh, his mom's a Bene Gesserit, which are like basically like black cult that's like pulling the strings behind the curtains and like trying to find the chosen one, knows as how is it, Lisan al
Gaib or something?
Yeah, Lisan al Gaib, the chosen one, the Messiah, basically. So they've been trying to birth the Messiah through the great houses by crossing a bunch of bloodlines, and then that's how we get Paul. So Bene Gesserit will have a child with somebody from a great house, one of the 5 great houses, and they've been trying to do this because they think the chosen one's going to be born through one of the great houses, and it ends up being Paul. And yeah, that Dune 2, and that's basically where we're at. So they find the same people. They are outcasts, they get in, and then Dune 2. And Dune 2 is about what, Eli?
Dune 2, putting it very, very spoiler-free, and the best way I can describe it is a journey where Paul and his mother must seek out the what was it? The tribe that revere them as Paul as the Messiah, the Al-Gaib, to bring them out of their oppression in the planet that they're on, so that way they can kind of regain their paradise. As you'll see throughout, like, that's the whole objective of it. And Paul having to duel within himself the light and dark side, where you see a lot of that Anakin Skywalker kind of, like, he has to battle within his inner demons and the mixed bloodlines of, should I conquer or should I do this peacefully, or is there any in between? Oh, and I also have the Dune version of the Force mixed in there. So there's a lot in play with that, and he has to also try to maintain his relationship with Javier Bardem's character, who is the main like
Stilgar.
Yeah, Stilgar, the believer, the number 1 Uwu supporter of Paul throughout this whole movie, who has a big role in this movie. Like, for the first hour,
role, who knew he was gonna be the the comedic relief?
Which had my theater going, dude. My theater was laughing, and I was laughing pretty consistently every time he showed up. And he was next to Duncan Idaho's character from the first movie. He was my favorite addition, who had a bigger role to play in this story, as well as Zendaya, who I know we saw a lot of Dior commercials in the first movie, but she has such a significant role with the relationship that she has with Paul. And it's not to say it's a very generic, like, will they, won't they? It's very clear that they are setting up a relationship, but it's how the movie kind of subverts expectations of like what you thought was going to play out with that. But it does pay off in a way that I didn't see coming, nor did I think that it was a thing that they keep doing in a lot of these movies. It really does pay off at the very end with her relationship, Stilgar's relationship. We also see the return of Josh Brolin, who is Duncan Idaho's like best bro, like the bro dudes who are in it for the Royal Guard, I believe. He's like one of the lieutenants who trains Paul up. So he comes in and he has a great relationship with Paul, and that continues further. And we also see a very different Elvis in this movie with Austin Butler, who by far plays, he's my favorite performance of his that I've seen lately. I'm not a big fan of the Elvis movie, but I was really much a big fan of Austin Butler in this. He plays the nephew of Skarsgård's Emperor character, who you'll see later on in the movie has a destined relationship, I guess, or he has a connection with Paul where that also pays off. There's just so many things that they set up from the first movie that, while going into it, like they pay off in this one, where you can see how, yeah, it's a big fight scene, you know, and there's a lot of battles, a lot of war going on in this one versus the first, because there's a lot of exposition dump, a lot of names you need to remember, a lot of ambiguous things that are just being thrown at you throughout the whole 2.5 hours, which I get. Like, they needed to do that in order for you to kind of get interest in the actual storyline. And man, does that pay off so well. Like, watching this movie before Dune 2 pays off so brilliantly. Like, I loved the pacing because I did not feel the...
You're talking about watching what, Dune 1 before Dune 2?
Yeah, and having to pay attention, pay more interest in... You I would say you don't... It's not a good idea to watch Dune 2 without one, but you could follow along. But there's just so much happening. It's very much Game of Thrones, very much Star Wars, very much so in those two categories.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I'm almost in the camp that it would have been nice if they released Dune 2 first and then put out Dune 1, because I feel like Dune 1 is so like, it definitely sets the stage, but it'd be cool to get like all the action and then be like, wait, what's going on? And then you go and watch Dune 1, you're like, oh, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, to like what you're speaking to too a little bit, I think is they definitely like, they knew that one was lacking a lot on, like, not that there wasn't action in one, but it was lacking pretty hard on the action front. There's just the one Arrakis getting invaded, so the Harkonnens are fighting the Atreides.
I think
but
sorry to cut you off, sorry. I think the most common complaint about Dune 1 was the pacing, and I think a lot of people get lost because it's so dialogue heavy. It's very much like, here's a lot of background information you need to know, and there's not enough, I guess, build up with Paul's character because he's just kind of thrown into it, versus like if you watch this and you just keep watching that to see where Paul's journey goes on, and his mother, Josh Brolin, like, I think a lot of people just lose the interest because of how I don't even think pacing should be an issue, because frankly, like, I would initially, I would say it was pacing issues, but I think because of how interested I was, because I just said, you know what, let's pay closer attention, let's just get sucked into this world, because it's really brilliant, like, beautiful, like, story direction, all across the board. Love the world of Dune a lot, and the characters.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I think watching 1 before 2 is really cool too. I would definitely recommend it, just to refresh your memory just because it is, I think, what, 3 years old from the last one. So it's been a little while before you come back into the universe of Imperium. But yeah, without spoiling it, I mean, what else is there to be said? I think kind of just speaking a little bit more on like Zendaya's character in relationship to Timothy Chalamet, so Paul and Chani.
Funny.
It's interesting because Paul's definitely like, without spoiling, there's this internal struggle. The entire movie is an internal struggle that he's having with he's fighting his destiny and not wanting to be part of his destiny, and that's with him being with Chani and like kind of giving into being someone who is actually going to like integrate with the Fremen and take on their beliefs and live with them and try to help them and be one of them. And then he's fighting against like what his mother wants, who's a Bene Gesserit, and it's like, oh, but you're the prophesized chosen one, like you have things you need to do. And that internal struggle is like evident throughout the entire movie until there's a tipping point, but until the tipping point, and then it goes down and it sets up movie 3 for whenever it comes out. It's 5 years, right?
And it's not to say that, like, I would love to see Dune 3. I think as it is right now, like 1 and 2 are so like good just for this story, because I love how like it does begin and it just end. Can it continue? Of course it can. I would love to see a third movie, but to see where this goes until its, you know, final like act. Of course they set up things, and that's the point of without revealing the roles, Christopher Walken and Florence Pugh, their roles into this movie. It's very minimal. They're not really, they play a key figure, but like they don't play a bigger role for this story because of how they set up things from the first movie. And I love how they threw breadcrumbs in throughout 2 to kind of like get you intrigued. It gets you interested because you want to see where things continue in 3, but I do like the payoff of like how the story of Dune, like being placed on this world, and Paul, his character arc, like obviously it keeps going, but to see where it goes from beginning to end in this movie, it's so hard to not go with spoilers. I think it was really well done. Like this makes me so hyped for Dune 3, and I'm like, probably, I guess I get now why people will say it's our next Lord of the Rings. It's fair, it's valid. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like I really like it. I really like Dune. We're Dune 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's cool that this IP is getting a lot of shine right now, because it is like something that like the first movie is like pretty inherently bad because the VFX is so bad, like the movie from the 80s. But like this, but this storyline is like much older than a lot of like what we were saying earlier, Star Wars, Star Trek, obviously like Game of Thrones too. So like, but there's a lot of that element. Like it's literally space Game of Thrones. Like if you like Game of Thrones, if you like that idea of there's houses and there's politics and stuff, I mean it's you have to go picking around for it, but it's there. There's a lot of things that are happening behind the curtain that you got to be paying attention to. And then, yeah, like with Christopher Walken's character and Florence Pugh, it'll be interesting to see how, because they are kind of like, I mean, Christopher Walken's character is technically mentioned in the first movie, although you don't know who he is, and then you see him in the second movie.
They're important.
And we've only, yeah, 100%, and you've only interacted up until the point at the end of Dune 2, which is one of the most fascinating things. If you've only interacted with the Emperor, House of Harkonnen, and House of Atreides. So there's still 3 more houses. There's still 3 more houses. I'm interested in looking who they decide to cast for them. I think they're gonna pick whoever's gonna do the best job. But there's a lot of room to work there. And yeah, it's just a really, really cool story. One thing that I did want to point out too, with the film specifically, because I watched 1 and 2 back to back, one of the most interesting things that I think they do with the film is depending on the planet you're on, because the vibes are very different for each planet. So when you're on, when you're on,
bringing this up.
yeah, when you're on Arrakis, which is a primarily desert planet, there's kind of this orange hue over everything. They kind of put like an orange filter over the film. So everything feels warm, dry, kind of barren, kind of like sun-kissed. You could kind of like tell like by the hue of the film. Yeah, like you could, and it, like sand in your eye, you could feel it. Like you can feel the ambiance that brings. And then in the first movie, because you don't go back there in the second, but I can't remember what his planet is called, but the planet that House Atreides is originally from, they conquered power through the water and the sky, and it's very blue, a lot of blues, a lot of greens. I think part of that has to do with the subtlety of the sky and the water, and then also I think a lot of it has to do with what's to come. I think it's supposed to be feel a little melancholy, but there's a lot more life in contrast to Arrakis, where there's blues, there's greens. You think of mountains, you think of waters, you think of green land. You see their really big stone castle, and it's very different, and that whole world has a bluish tint to it. And then you look at where the Emperor lives, and he's, at the top of the mountain. He's the one that's calling the shots in this universe. He's telling these houses where to go. He's playing the politics. He's playing the Game of Thrones. And when you're at the top, what do you think you get? We get everything. He has the most colorful landscape, a lot of yellows, a lot of greens, reds. I mean, everything pops in his, and he's like the one where I don't think that they put any filter on top of his. And then you look at the last one that we've seen to this date, which is the Harkonnen planet, and what are they? They're ruthless. They're gritty. It's literally all black and white. They have like fireworks, black and white. Everyone's bald with no eyebrows. They make them look so scary. I didn't know bald people with no eyebrows could look so scary. Yeah,
and it's scary and it's dark. It feels dreary. Like, and I found this out yesterday. The reason why it's black and white is because their sun, I believe, is blacked out. So of course, everything's all monotone. And I think that what you're saying, all in common, the VFX and the color correction, editing is like so good. And you pair that with cinematography, so well shot. Like, I think that's why I think Dune 2 elevates what Dune 1 was and brings it to a higher plane of like, oh my gosh, like we can appreciate like what Denis Villeneuve like has done to make this movie more
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, like you get so sucked in, just like he did with Blade Runner, just like how he did with Arrival. Like you are so sucked into this world and the characters that they inhabit, like Austin Butler, who is very engaged, like he's sucked into this role, copying the mannerisms of Stellan Skarsgård. And Stellan Skarsgård is the Baron. He's like the oil baron who bathed his own like
and his Lazarus Pit.
Like Emperor Palpatine energy. There's so much of like this that we can keep going on and about, but like overall, like I love this movie so much. It is my favorite movie of this year. My girlfriend was asking me why I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on my Letterboxd, but I think it's just because that's just such a fresh reaction. If I watched it again and I feel the same way, this is honestly hands down a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 5, whatever. But so far, it is my favorite movie of 2024, hands down.
And I mean, to be fair, I was to go out this other day, but Letterboxd's like scaling system is very restricting. Where like a 9.5 or a 4.5 would be a 9. Like you can't do like a 9.2 or 9.5 or 9.75. So it's like 4 is like an 8, a 4.5 is like a 9. Like you only get like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It is restricting. I gave it a 4.5 as well. I originally gave Dune 1 a 3, and then I watched it again and I gave it a 4 because I did think it was actually it deserved a 4. I was a little bit too harsh and kind of being memey too. But yeah, I think this film accomplishes a lot with its film editing. It invokes a lot of emotion. Definitely a strong candidate for like getting an Oscar if they get nominated, which I'm sure they will for film editing next year.
Score.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's a good movie. I give it a 4.5 too. I'd have to rewatch it to see if it's a 5. It's definitely for me. It's missing something for me, and I don't know what it is. And it could just be pure preference, but it's missing something for me, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the casting. I'm not gonna lie. Nothing against Timothée Chalamet, but I feel like I've been seeing him a lot lately, and like and I don't think that he's like a bad actor by any means, but I could see them maybe pick like someone better to fit like Paul's character, and maybe that's like what it is for me a little bit. But yeah, I loved it. I loved the movie. I have nothing bad to say about it or anything like that.
You didn't get it. Fill in your guest star role. Come on. Come on. Just talk about what you thought about Dune 2 real quick.
I don't have any thought.
You watched it. Okay, okay, did you like Dune 2? What it was?
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I enjoyed Dune 2. I need you to like articulate my thoughts in a better way because I'm always just like
Just rebel. It's okay. Okay.
Well, I went to see Dune 2 alone using my Cinemark movie rewards. Remember, get that free ticket. But what did I wrote it in my letterbox review, but I think like the humor part. Now how
Stilgard.
Stilgard, that's the name. I don't know all their names. But like it would take me out. Like at some points I'm like it sounds like a Marvel movie where they like try to get the audience.
I
Like,
didn't find it organic. Like cause
I found it like
a little organic. I liked it.
it was good. I don't know. At some points I'm just like, why did you say that? Like you're making me not believe. Which I guess maybe like the director, maybe he wants you to like think, yeah, me reading like
Like about review for context.
like I wrote that like directly after, so I don't know if it's like that. But
Yeah, I did a really mean review.
yeah. I guess okay, but like I grew up religious, so I could see like the fanaticism part of like from an outsider perspective, like Zendaya's characters, like, well, these people are like fucking crazy, like calm down.
Holy crap! Religion plays such a
Yeah,
big
like
role. It's so
religion.
big.
If you
Yeah.
looked at like, I think it was I know a religion, like being like raised religious, like you do see like that very like big fanaticism part where you're like, these people are crazy, but when you're actually in it, you like actually believe it to where it's like something real. So I guess people would probably make fun of religion from an outsider perspective. So I guess that's why they incorporated that like humor part. But like when you're actually in it, it seems very intense and real. That's why like I don't know.
I think that's valid. I almost feel like if it's like a mistake, like well, like not a mistake, but I almost feel like some of his humor was like they didn't expect it. Like I definitely think that they wrote stuff out to be funny. Like I'm not saying that they didn't do that, but I do feel like because he's so overly religious, there were like that was kind of just like the effect the character has. You know what I mean? Like I think they didn't expect it to be like that, but then like people go watch the movies. And you're some other people, and you're like, dude, this guy's like kind of nut for religion. You know what I mean?
Like that's why like Stilgar is such a strong like fan favorite now.
He grabbed his hand. He grabbed his water cup with the right hand. It's the Lisad Al Gabi. He's religion. He's prophesized. You know.
No, that ending part where he's basically like discerning like their lives at the end, like Timothée Chalamet's or Paul, and he's like, here's what you did in the past. Like that part that like drew me back in. I was like, oh shit, it's about to fucking go down now. So
Dude, I was savage.
the troops back in. But, good. But yeah, the whole last scene, final scene, battle scene was crazy. Now I want to watch it in IMAX. I feel like that.
Oh yes.
Okay. I think I didn't get the full experience, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I do recommend. I watched it in IMAX. I recommend watching it in IMAX. I watched it at the Regal in Delta Shores. Let's go.
IMAX theater where we live, like downtown, like an actual.
No. The only one that I know of in this area is Delta.
I thought it was legitimate IMAX. This is legitimate IMAX. Not.
Oh, is Doko?
Not Doko.
Yeah, I think it was.
Not Doko. There is a legitimate IMAX theater.
Yeah, wait.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know after the recording. But
Yeah.
Marissa, what do you like? Do you think that this is a lot better movie than one?
Okay, well, I first watched one in theaters when I was like very tired that day, and it was like an 8 p.m. showing, and so I fell asleep. It probably wasn't the movie itself. Like, I think my headspace, I was already tired to where I was like falling asleep, so I fell asleep during part one. So I finally rewatched it in its entirety, and I don't like. I get the criticism where it's like, oh, it's kind of a very slow paced movie.
Such a lame cop out answer.
I know, but I feel like any like sci-fi fantasy book, like or like any sci-fi fantasy story, it like takes you a while to like understand the world and immerse yourself in the world. So like I feel like you can't expect that much to be like. Also, Dune is just like, I haven't read it or anything, but I feel like it's not really a story. Like, it's not a story to where you just like give the audience everything. Like, you got to have the audience like engage with what's happening to like figure out the story. So I think that's why they're like, I'm not gonna lay out the whole plot. Like, they're gonna like in the first movie, I was very confused, but I think rewatching it after the fact, I'm like, oh, okay. It allows you to think a lot more about like the world you're watching play out in front of you.
Dune 2 pays.
Yeah, I feel like now thinking back on it, because I did rewatch Dune 1, I think the problem with it is it feels like, I think after they get invaded by the Harkonnens and all that stuff happens, it feels super disjointed, because then like the last 45 minutes are then like searching for the same people. So it's like really, I don't know, like it's awkward. That like transition's kind of awkward.
Oh, I do remember that. I remember being like, wait, what part of the story are we in now? Like, did they escape? Like, I didn't know what like territory of like the story they were about to like enter into and like what the next steps were gonna be. So I think that's also like the part that like took me out of the experience, because I was like, should I be this confused or like I don't know. But
That's valid.
that's good experience. What bug bite right there? That's my pick, you guys.
Since I have last thing before we move on.
Let's get Matt back in here. I'm gonna wait. Go ahead after.
You can one. But do you guys honestly think that because they haven't confirmed part 3 yet, do you think as it is right now as a duology, do you think this like fit? But this is fine, like where it is. I'd like to see
No.
but 2 is like I like where we're.
No. Two leaves, like I think 2 leaves too much up in there. Like it's cool where it's at right now, but 2 leaves way too much up in there. I think people are gonna want to see it. I think it needs a 3rd.
Wait, is Dune Part 2 still the first book?
It's the second or first book or something.
I have no idea. Truthfully.
That canon books. There's 18 in total, but we're only counting 6 because that's the actual author of Frank Gerber.
Okay, are we ready? I'm gonna ping Matt. Speak now for Roger Peace.
Good guess appearance. Good guess appearance. Good guess roll. Wait. Plug your letterbox.
What's your letterbox, person?
Oh, cocoa water chill, everyone.
Hey.
Like,
Sure.
Ooh, I think mine's, what is mine? JD96. We're plugging letterbox. What's your letterbox?
Loading. Hold on. Loading. Loading. It is Flycoris.
Hey, I knew it. I'll follow him.
Hey.
I'm his #1 fan.
I think you follow her.
I follow Andrew. I'm not
Evaluation.
about
Yeah, I think I found you. I think I found you the day we were watching, when me and Eli are watching Quiet Place, and I was like, just went out following spree. Everybody highlight, because it's gonna be like a lot if we say like each reason why PH thing. Everybody highlight 3 things, like 3 things that they're most passionate about here, talking about.
Okay.
Like for me, it's definitely gonna be this one.
I want this one because it's probably the only one I can talk the most about.
Don't that one.
How do I highlight?
What else? And then that way, when we're going down our list, you can highlight it. That's really it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm really glad. I'm proud of you guys to do different for cinematography and this and that.
Because I was telling Angie, like the ones I picked, like my picks are usually based on just like what I watched, honestly. And I haven't watched a lot of the films that are on these, honestly.
I'll talk about these 5 things. Yeah, I think I've got a good list of what we can talk about. This next segment,
I do those 2.
which for anyone listening in, we are going to start talking about none other than the Oscars coming out this Sunday on ABC or whatever channel that it's coming out on.
Whatever old people watch, it'll be there.
But you know, we're gonna watch. I mean, I'll watch it because I love watching the Oscars. I just viewing
Yeah,
on it.
That sounded mean too. We're not ageist.
I watch the majority of like old white people just watching the movies and judging it. But you know, it's just we're just 3 schmucks who just love to talk about movies and pop culture. You know, it's just loving.
As Eli's lawyer, he's kidding. Everything he says is a joke.
Hot take.
Yeah, so we have a little thing going on right now. We made a doc of Oscar predictions, and part of it's also just who we want to win. So we went through, I think there's 23 or 24 categories. Yeah, we went through each category before the show today, and we picked who we thought was going to win or who we want to win for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, all the way down to live action short, which for animated short, documentary, feature, documentary short, and live action short, both me and Matt don't know, so
Sorry, but
yeah,
stay tuned for a follow-up episode on the Best Friendos podcast, which you should follow on Spotify and YouTube, for our reactions to the Oscar results. I guess I'll be live streaming it on my Twitch, so follow.
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah, these are pre-Oscar predictions. We'll be doing a post-Oscar reactions, and then we also have a marker for who's correct. So whoever gets them all correct has bragging rights. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll do a fun thing. We can do a fun thing.
But I'm gonna pass it off to Matt because me and Eli have been talking a lot. But Matt, what talk about your list, man. Go run it down. Tell us who you're picking for each category, and then talk about the ones you feel passionate about.
Okay. Pure pre-discretion. I might have missed some of the Oscar nominee movies, and so I only voted for what I have seen and what I've heard from my fellow hosts here as well, because we did another episode, talked about a lot of movies, and they were very passionate about some of these movies. Very first episode, which you guys should go watch if you haven't watched it already.
Come on, guys. We're 5 episodes in.
But yeah, just going down the list that we got here for Best Picture, I have picked Oppenheimer. And then followed by Best Actor, I picked Cillian Murphy, also from Oppenheimer.
Cillian Murphy.
Sorry. Best Supporting Actress, me and Juby both voted for Lily Gladstone, but Eli picked something different here. He's very passionate about it.
Well,
Yeah, lead actress, right? Or is it supporting?
Lead.
Okay.
let me do a little bit of context right out the gate.
And I was gonna say pre like discussion. Disclosure, whatever you want to call it. Eli has watched a lot more of these movies than me and Matt. Like, I mean, I've probably seen a couple more than Matt, and then I think Eli's seen most of them. So,
and I'm not saying that these are like definitely true and to win. These are my personal picks. These are ones that I've chose to be a little different on. And I know that, like, I'm not gonna lie. I think Juby, Matt, I think your guys' list is a little bit more right. Because that's just how the Oscars voters work. They just choose the most like streamlined, mainstream like option. Like, come on, like that's why we got Parasite in 2020 to win Best Picture, which was given. But there's some that I chose that were a little different, a little out of the box, just to shake it up. But I chose Emma Stone for Best Actress because, simply put, in Poor Things, she just ranges. Her range from a comedic role, like a simpleton, like fresh out of water, to an evolving person with a lot of like insight and absorbing philosophical ideas throughout the movie. It's really amazing that Emma Stone does that in this movie, and she really goes all out. Like, if anyone has seen Poor Things, you know she really gives it her all. She really puts everything into this. And I think it is one of my favorite performances of hers. That's not to say Lily Gladstone is fantastic in Killers of the Flower Moon. She deserves to win it, for sure. But my personal pick is Emma Stone because it's a lot stronger of a performance. But Lily Gladstone is also great. But I chose Emma Stone. Just to be different.
Just to be different.
And yeah, that's why.
Yes. Moving on, we move on to Best Supporting Actor, and across the board, all three of us picked RDJ. This has been my favorite supporting role for RDJ, and boy, does he do it really, really well. To kind of hold down, like, for Oppenheimer, obviously, if you don't know what film this is for, but he really like held it down during this film. Like, gosh, what a performance! Yeah, to kind of like be that voice of reason, so to speak. Shit, the voice of reason, but that extra voice to kind of like put it out there when it comes to like the film itself. Really strong performance.
Best performance outside of Tropic Thunder and Iron Man.
Agreed. Yeah. Moving on to supporting actress, we all also picked Davine Joy Randolph, our favorite cafeteria lady. Yeah, no, honestly, what a performance in that one. Yeah, moving on to best directing. Eli and I both agreed that we wanted Nolan to win. But Andrew picked Martin Scorsese, also a really good director for films this year.
It's hard. It's a hard year.
Yeah, it's a toss-up, honestly. I'd agree.
I think I was gonna say I picked beforehand. I had Scorsese or Nolan in there, and then they both picked Christopher Nolan for best director. So I figured I'd tread against it. It can go either way, really.
I think this one's gonna be a very close, like a close ruling for sure. Like whoever wins this one, like both did phenomenal jobs.
If it's anybody other than these two, I'd be really surprised. I'd be like really, I think
I'd be
by the
like
Academy.
Yeah, almost a big upset for sure.
Yeah.
Best original screenplay, Holdovers from me and Jubert, and Eli picked May December.
May December, I decided to go very against it. I think May December is so underrated of a choice, like, to be nominated in the Oscars, like, and not get like God, I'm forgetting their names. Just any of the cast get nominated, or I think honestly, like the cast really, like, excuse me, I forgot the name of their names, but you know, like, I'm not talking about for anyone who's listening. Like, May December is such a solid movie performances, and that's all it is. Like, and the screenplay that they're given to really flex their acting chops is so incredible.
like Natalie Portman,
Natalie
Charles
Portman.
Melton.
Thank you. Charles Melton.
Yeah.
Charles Melton
Julianne
not getting
Moore,
supporting
Corey Smith.
actor. Very, very snub. And Natalie Portman, I think she should have got nominated. I would have voted for her, honestly. But regardless, May December at least needs to get one nomination, at least one win. If you haven't seen it yet on Netflix, it's such a compelling story. I'd rather not tell you guys anything about it and you just watch it, because it's such a sad, like it you clench your chest like watching it, because of how like the performances of everyone across the board. I love the screenplay. It's so well told. It's well told. A lot stronger than any of the movies I've seen this year.
Moving on to cinematography, or adapted screenplay. Sorry, can't read. Eli and Drubert both picked American Fiction. I would be likely to incline had I watched the film, but since I have not, I have defaulted to Oppenheimer. It's probably like the biggest film I watched that year. And for best cinematography, across the board, it looks like me and Andrew both agreed for Killers of the Flower Moon. Eli voted for Poor Things.
Also another, just to be different, Poor Things. I already know that this one is a given to Christopher Nolan. His scope of the first half of the movie is really where you pay your money for. The IMAX showing alone is just where you go to watch the movie in theaters. It's such a beautiful looking movie. Killers 2. I think all the movies this year was really beautiful cinematography across the board. But Poor Things is so weird. It uses a fisheye lens a lot of some of the time in the movie. They use a lot of black and white. They use a lot of vibrant colors. They use cinematography in a way that I thought, man, like, this is such a weird, bonkers movie, and I love that look so much, like, because of the story that it's told and the Emma Stone that's inhabiting Bella. I thought the cinematography was absolutely like breathtaking in a weird yet beautiful way. I love it. But I do agree, Killers of the Flower Moon is really good looking. Like, you and me, Andrew, we've seen it and we thought we have it so high on our list in our first episode. You have checked it out. So
yeah,
all across
we
the
came out of the movie theater because we went together to go see Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, I don't know why this is so prevalent in my mind, but we were gushing about the cinematography and the still shots. I'm kind of inclined to think that Christopher Nolan's probably going to win this, but I do want Killers to win it. So it's not just a Oppenheimer sweep.
I don't want it to, but this is me. Like, I personally want it to shake up a little bit. Poor Things, please. It's just really weird. Really weird movie. I love it.
All right. Moving on, we got production design. And this time we're all very different across the board, with Juby picking Poor Things, me picking Oppenheimer, because it's probably the only film that I watched this year, and Eli picking Barbie. And then moving on to editing, Andrew with the Killers, me with the Killers, Eli with his Oppenheimer. Yeah. Again, really good editing across all the boards, across the board, but very unique nonetheless. For original score, unanimously, we all picked Oppenheimer. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, the sound design and just the original score for that film alone was just
Scary.
so crazy. Best original song, of course, we're gonna give it to Barbie with "I'm Just Ken."
But let me before you go on, we all know that realistically it's going to be Billie Eilish to get it. But I would love it if Ryan Gosling got it.
Best original song. Yeah.
Let's just dream. Let's just dream real quick.
Dare to dream. Costume design. We have Gilbert and Andrew both voting for Poor Things. Me voting for Killers. Makeup and hairstyling both go to 4 things from Eli and Juby, me being Oppenheimer. Sound, which kind of plays into the original score. Me and Andrew both voted for Oppenheimer. Eli voted for Maestro.
It's gonna be that, but I'll give some credit to Bradley Cooper. It's really good.
Did you finish Maestro?
I did. Honest
Because I
opinion,
remember you weren't feeling it. Didn't you turn it off and then
I had to commit because I knew that if I didn't watch it all the way, it's not giving me. I'm not giving Bradley Cooper his due because he's a really good storyteller and director already from Stars Born. It's very hard. It's not Best Picture worthy. It's not Best Actor. It's hard, but I do give it to Maestro for the sound because it's based off of our greatest like orchestra. Like again, names are escaping me, but like it's because I'm from a music background. I did a lot of jazz and I did a lot of orchestra, so I just kind of gave it
Leonard Bernstein.
Leonard Bernstein. Yeah, I gave it to Leonard Bernstein for that one.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer's powerful.
It's hard. It's hard when you're going up against Oppenheimer because it's like they're two very different source material. One's talking about, quite literally changing the course of history with the making of the atomic bomb, and the other one's talking about music. And I'm not saying that that's not that's like discredit Bernstein's done in his lifetime, but it's very different. It's hard, and like the sound design for that, for like Oppenheimer having his nightmares of like what he's done and like the sound of like the nuke dropping and all that good stuff. I mean, it's crazy where they went with that.
Moving on from that, we have for best visual effects, we all unanimously voted for Godzilla -0. And yeah, honestly, I think it's very deserving. To kind of bring it back to like kind of like old style kaiju movies, especially with the old Godzilla movies where like, he's not like running around jumping off buildings and like, busting through stuff. Like it's very like you can feel the weight in the movement, like for like visual effects. Like when he stomps, like the whole ground shakes. He's not running. Like people are running to kind of like, in fear. And I feel like he doesn't need to, like Godzilla does not need to be like, like a raptor running. Like just his presence alone should be enough. And I think they really show that off in this film with the visual effects and like just like his breath, like when he breathes. His nuclear breath. I think that was very powerful as well. Like it's not like it shouldn't look like fire. Like you should feel like the weight of the world. Like the world's gonna blow up. Godzilla's like around.
It's got like a 20 million like budget, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Like,
it's crazy.
That's the fact that it's given like a fraction, like a small fraction of what Marvel movies are given.
Exactly to accomplish that.
Bomb. It looks
very phenomenal.
Its story was so good too, honestly. Like if it could be popped in another category too. I mean, it's kind of got screwed over with just coming out like on a hard hitting movie year. But like, if movies were a little bit more underwhelming, I could see it getting something else.
I could see it sneaking up there. Yeah,
some other awards. I just feel like that might be the only one it gets.
Yeah. For foreign language films, I don't have a vote. I don't think I've seen much.
I've only seen one foreign film. It wasn't on the list, and it's Best Picture nominated. It was Past Lives. I'm nearly done with it. It's really great.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put Zone of Interest because I think it's what I think most popular was. But Andrew, Perfect Days, eh?
Yeah, I picked Perfect Days. I really, really like the film. It's a Japanese film about a janitorial worker in Shibuya, Tokyo, and you just literally follow him on his day-to-day journey of cleaning bathrooms and what that entails and stuff. But there's so much gratitude in his life and in his eyes, and just like being really thankful for what he has. And it's not like, I don't know, it was a very feel-good movie. I gave it a 5. It's the first 5 I've gone out in a while since like Oppenheimer and probably Killers. but I liked it a lot because I think it spoke a lot to like slow cinematography. It was like a very slow paced film, and it was kind of refreshing to watch because there wasn't a lot going on, but there is because he has a lot of gratification for like what he does and stuff, but that's not to say that he doesn't have his problems. He has issues with his family and all types of stuff, but like he really leans into like his schedule and the music he likes and the literature he reads, and going to his favorite tree to eat lunch. And it's a special movie. It's really good. It's not one that like I cried but like got teary-eyed at like plenty of times. And then they opened up with House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, so that was pretty sweet. It has a really good music soundtrack.
That's actually
wow.
cool.
Yeah, no, the music soundtrack is baller, from like the Animals to Lou Reed to, I think they had some Al Green in there. I mean, they went all over the place, and then a couple Japanese bands too that I don't know. It's super cool.
For score then. God damn it. For sound.
Yeah. It was a sick film. I hope it wins. I didn't see any other film, to be fair, so I think Zone of Interest sounded interesting. I wanted to watch it, but I never got the chance to. But I was moved in a way by this film that I wasn't expecting to. I was just expecting to watch it and like it, and it was really good. I really like it.
Yeah, and then to move it on to animated feature film, across the board, we all picked The Boy and the Heron.
Upset. No way. We chose this over
That's
Spider-Man.
crazy.
Crazy.
For Spider-Man's win, if Spider-Man wins, this is rigged. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm not gonna lie.
This shit is rigged.
Before you go in, Andrew, let me just say,
That's all
I
I'm
feel like
saying.
they're gonna do it. I feel like they're gonna do it. They're gonna give it to Spider-Man. But
Are you serious? Dude, I feel like Ghibli films usually win. I mean, they normally win animated feature films, so this actually seems like the safe pick. But I feel like if fucking Spider-Man wins,
I think it might.
this shit is rigged. Spider-Man is not... They should have put fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there before they put fucking Spider-Man, dude.
Agreed.
If it was a good hair, it should have been...
Also,
really?
we're having a hot take.
Really? No. We're saving this for another episode.
Nothing different. It's the same movie. They didn't do much different. And like for an Academy where like, oh, you're picking the best films, we're picking things that we haven't seen before. And it's like, okay, they reskinned movie 1 and they added some like more like little flashy like lasers and stuff. It's very similar to 1.
It's cultural like impact with Ghibli versus money. That's where I'm like, I'm sorry. I think they're gonna choose the moneymaker on this one.
I don't know.
But I like Boy and the Heron. I like it.
You better.
Go ahead, Andrew. What do you think?
It should have been TMNT.
Hikey.
The grunge.
Blood Boy and the Heron.
They don't respect Seth Rogen because he smokes marijuana. I bet you that's what it is. I'm not lying. I wouldn't be surprised.
But
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll follow on the Kool-Aid on you, Andrew. Like I know, and Matt. Like I know you guys really like Boy and the Heron. You, Matt, especially, like Andrew, especially because Boy and the Heron it's a really beautiful movie. Beautiful anime.
It's pretty.
Pretty.
Dude, they make grass look so good. Look good. I'm memeing for the most part, but I don't think Spider-Man should win. If Spider-Man doesn't win, I will be a little sad.
I'm going personal, but what I think. But
Yeah.
Be a little upsetty spaghetti. Actually, I'm gonna pass it on to Eli because the rest of these I actually don't have a vote for.
so right before we started, before we got on to recording this episode, I knew that we were talking about the Oscars, and I knew that this is a category that I always miss every year, and this is something I kind of just chugged myself to watch. The only one that I admittingly haven't watched is that documentary short and the documentary feature, so I'm not going to talk about those two. But from the shorts, the animated shorts and the live action shorts I have seen, I will say War is Over is a beautiful movie. I think it's hard because all the other categories in the animated shorts category, I really think you guys should watch it. They're also beautiful, but they're also sad. because one deals with SA, one deals with death, one deals with a topic that I was like, oh man, like I didn't think that they were gonna do that. And there's a pig. And War is Over is probably the most like toned down, I think, next to 95 Senses, but War is Over is it's a technical movie for me that I just chose. I think it's something that like if I show it to you guys, you'd be like, oh yeah, War is Over. It takes place during World War One, World War Two, something like that. And it's just a simple movie, a short film about enemy forces who have a carrier pigeon send out coordinates to a chess game that they're playing. And that's the only thing that unites them, like their love of just something simple. And the sad truth is that they have to kill each other when, day is up. So I think it was really good. And it ends with the John Lennon song that took me out of the movie, which is why I couldn't give it a 5. It's really good. I really like it a lot. And Nine and WIPO, I've heard a lot of good things, so I just automatically put documentary short for that feature. I'm going to try my best this year in 2024 to watch more documentaries, but live action short, literally right before, like split second right before we started, I watched the wonderful short of Harry Sugar. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I didn't like Asteroid City that much. It's not my favorite. I think my favorite Wes Anderson movie is The Grand Budapest Hotel, because that's what got me into cinematography, production design, acting, costume design, sound. Like it's all across the board. A really easily it's a film nerd book, like analysis in a movie. I love that movie and Wes Anderson, and his wonderful story of Harry Sugar. It's such a funny thing because it's a 40-minute short based on Benedict Cumberbatch. So imagine Benedict Cumberbatch, instead of losing his arms, Doctor Strange's arms, instead he decides to like go all in on his eyes or his senses, like Spidey sense. So that way he can predict the future, I guess. And he does it in a way where it's like, I'm doing it for nefarious purposes, but why am I doing this? Like, it does it in the most Wes Anderson fashion. It's fun. It's a fun movie and a fun short. And I think that out of all of them, why not give it to Wes Anderson? Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Heck yeah, dude. Love it. Well, top to bottom, there it is. There are our votes. We will see who gets the most right on the next episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Anything else to say, Eli?
Well, when this episode drops, literally the Oscars will happen the next day. So stay tuned for the following episode. You guys want to do the post episode after that?
Yeah, absolutely.
To get a reaction out of that. Yeah, so stay tuned to that on Spotify and YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Well, on those two platforms. All I have to say is that Dune 2 is fantastic, and all these movies that we listed on the Oscars, they're all good. They're all fantastic. But I think Spider-Man's gonna win. Okay, Matt.
No,
I'm sorry. I think Spider-Man's gonna win.
I know.
I just can.
But
Ken's not gonna win. I would like it to win.
Just can.
You are just kid.
You're Ken-nuff.
Aw, thanks, mate.
But thank you for everyone listening and tuning into our podcast. And
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. 5 episodes in, guys. You ready to do 5 more after this? And 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more.
Yep. Well, it was a fun podcast. I'm zipping out of here. Goodbye.
Oh, is that how we're gonna end?
He just dips the call.
That's just how we're gonna end it. All right, that's
All right.
fantastic.
Bye, buddy.
Do you want me to edit? I can edit it on you and you.
Oh, I thought you ended it already.
No, I was gonna. No, I haven't.
Welcome back. We're not done yet.
All right.
happened?
I don't know. How to. Okay. Outro. How do we do outro? We're gonna solve this right now. We can't keep doing this for 5 more episodes. Outro. Ready?
Yeah.
Thank you for
You
being.
do the outro. You do the outro today, and I'll do the outros for the rest of them for the rest of eternity.
I was about to do a ripoff of Bad
Go ahead,
Friends.
do whatever you want. Do your outro right now, and then I'll do that.
Should we
And then
copy,
after today, I'll do outros. Okay, I'll do outros from now on.
I was gonna copy Bobby Lee's like, thank you for being a bad friend. Thank you for being a best friend, though. Oh, I got it. All right, this is how we're gonna end it. Hey guys, guess what?
What, Eli?
You guys are my best of friendos.
Oh.
That's a little loving.
I think Eli's beard is nicer than Andrew's beard.
Liar.
I agree.
Reddick, what do you think? Who has the nicer beard? Who is the hottest? Who's the hottest?